Well, guys, it's coming out of the woodworks now, isn't it? It's coming out of the woodworks. When people said that more information was being released in July in regards to presenters, I thought it was about the Philip Schofield mess and carnage, when it looks like it's been in a complete different direction. But are we surprised when it comes to that corporation? Hey guys, it's Murad Murali. Hope you guys are all doing well today. Back again with another video. If you have not subscribed, guys, click that button for daily and consistent content. Subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. It's just one click, guys. And let's get straight into this damning report that was released earlier on today. When, I read this at 11 a.m. in the morning as I was having my morning coffee. Complete lie, guys. I just got up a couple hours ago. I was in bed all day. But anyways, top BBC presenter has been taken off air after paying a young teenager £35,000 for explicit pictures. A top BBC presenter has been accused. The mother of the alleged victim said the money, allegedly amounting to more than 35k, was used to fund a cocaine addiction which destroyed her child's life. The family complained to the BBC about the behaviour on 19th of May and begged the broadcaster to make the presenter stop sending the cash. So why has he now just been taken off air now, in July? Neither the individual or the teenager, who was said to be 17 when the payments began, was identified. The BBC says it takes any allegations very seriously. The star is currently not scheduled to be on air, it has been reported. Speaking about the allegations, the mother described to the paper how her child, now 20, had gone from a happy-go-lucky youngster to a ghost-like crack addict in 3 years. She said, "When I see him on telly, I feel sick. I blame this BBC man for destroying my child's life, taking my child's innocence and handing out over the money for crack cocaine that could kill my child." In response to the Sun, a BBC spokesman said, "We treat any allegations very seriously and we have processes in place to proactively deal with them." I mean, if that were to be the case, why has he just been taken off air now, nearly 2 months after these allegations were made? Whew. Wow, guys, there's a lot of us to break down. Now, who could this be? We honestly don't know, but this is a top BBC presenter, obviously a man. He was paying somebody who was a minor. Now, yes, when you are 16 plus and you are intimate, of course, it's very different. It's not considered to be a minor, which it should be. But if you take images or of yourself, or you receive images from somebody who's under the age of 18, but is 17, it is still considered child porn. So, which is absolutely I'm not surprised by this. We know the BBC, the Jimmy Savile situation and everything, and so many interviews and questions about, oh, but did you know? What should we have done? What did we ignore? Etc, etc. And of course, the Philip Schofield mess when it comes to everything that happened and all the mess that he was doing with ITV and being on ITV, and ridiculous. So many boys have come out the woodwork saying that they've been messaged by him, they feel uncomfortable by him, and yet we have a grown man paying nearly £40,000 to a minor, a young boy, asking for pictures, knowing that money that he's giving to the boy, A, he's getting what he wants, which is disgusting, but B, he's giving and funding that boy's young addict life to addiction and drugs. This is what I mean when it comes to our young boys. And the mother, glad that she reported it, feels helpless. The happy-go-lucky kid that she said he was is now somebody who's, got this significant addiction. Now, just because he doesn't have the money anymore receiving from this man, doesn't mean that his addiction's gone. Who's going to pay for his rehab? Who's going to pay for him to actually get a proper job? What about all the significant trauma and now public trauma with this all being publicized that this young boy, now 20-year-old, is going through, let alone the mother herself? And this is what happens when we don't have proper institutions, after-school youth clubs, proper therapy services, that are actually extensive, proper education of young grooming and, etc. Because we don't have a lot of that, guys. This is what happens to these young boys. They get easily influenced by these older men who will use them and then discard them. Honestly, I see myself now, especially with everything happened with me, my situation last year when I was a teen with these grown men and everything came out. Unfortunately, I only got the blame. And covering the Philip stuff, I really see myself speaking in schools. I really want to speak in primary schools, secondary schools, mainly secondary schools actually, speaking them about and teaching education of grooming young boys, what happens in sexual abuse and how you can prevent this and look out for it, and obviously teach and help and guide parents. I think this is something that I would just love to do, and I see myself doing these in schools, quick speeches. I would just love to do this. Anybody who works at a school, please make that happen, because I would absolutely love to do it and just give people guidance and advice and a reminder and awareness, because this story is wild. Who is this top BBC presenter that has this power and influence because of the height of where he is at work, that he's spending so much cash on trying to get indecent images of a minor, and knowing that that money that he's giving is funding an addiction life? He's using that kid in so many ways, knowing that he's using that money in a negative way, using him for his body as well. It is absolutely disgusting. I'm not surprised. Unfortunately, I am significantly desensitized to it, considering what these grown men used to do to me, and that they're still out there and they're probably still finding young boys, and yet there's been no form of protection for whether you're white, black, brown. There's just nothing for us, unfortunately. And I just feel like yet again we have another huge scandal that is about to blow up, with a corporation harboring, holding, using, utilizing, hiring grown ass men who are finding and using young boys for disgusting, sick fantasies. And I'm sick to death of it. Absolutely, it's just awful, and I hate it. I hate how, you know, young boys get used and then we get ignored in the system and left to deal with everything on our own devices, much like my own situation. It's just so parallel and triggering for me whenever I discuss topics like this, but also it's healthy for me to have some kind of discussion with my following about what happened last year, because I do want to do it at some point of time, because I think that so many people are just so misinformed, and these grown men abuse us sexually in such disgusting ways, and then we're left to deal with that abuse and trauma and how it inflicts us, and how these men touch us up, and we have to deal with it on our own mentally. And then when we tell the world, like I did, that, oh, I went through this, these men did this to me, and I had to do these things for these men, it was all deemed an excuse. My trauma was an excuse. Is it an excuse, or do you not understand sexual abusive trauma? Is it an excuse, or are you privileged enough because you haven't gone through it or experienced it, therefore you do not understand sexual abusive trauma, which rewires your brain chemistry completely, depletes any sexual boundaries completely, and you know, your introduction to anything intimate is completely distorted based on a significant amount of trauma that you've gone through? Is it an excuse, or is it an explanation? And I think that a lot of people are just so ignorant to what happens to young boys when they go through something like sexual abuse, because it really rewires your entire brain chemistry. It is so unfortunate and unfair that people just see it as an excuse. And I just think that stories like this, which are so sad and so unfortunate, need people to understand that, you know, young boys are being targeted. They are being on these streets. They're being used by men who have high power and influence all over. This was reported in May. Why is the news coming out now in July? It doesn't make any sense. What, because the Philip stuff was going on in May, therefore we have to wait? Like, it's just absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. I feel for the future of this young boy, because it's like, where are you going now? Is she a single mother? Can she afford therapy and put him into private therapy? Because we know that NHS takes good 2-3 years wait line. Is that therapy even good? Then what about rehab? You know, is he not going to go back to addiction and drugs if he falls on the wrong gangs? And if he falls in those gangs and he ends up gets even more addicted, he'll be inebriated and drugged up, and then grown men will find him again. It's a cycle, a cycle, a cycle. Who can break the cycle? So I'm not just reviewing this story for what it is. I'm looking at the future and the wider bird's eye view of this boy's life, and how there's times that by 1,000 all over the UK, all over London. Let me know thoughts on when it comes to this, guys. Subscribe to the channel, click that button. It is daily and consistent content, and I'll catch you guys soon for another video. I would really appreciate it if you guys do subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it, guys. It's just one click for consistent, fresh content 365 days of the year. Subscribe, and I'll catch you guys soon.